Scott here again with Flip That Script to talk about the fact that narcissistic people do not seem to have the ability, or more so, let's say, that they avoid introspection and self-reflection. My understanding of why this has to do with the video that I put out there about the false self and how the false self is created largely to avoid feelings of shame that are often rooted in some kind of trauma. So, narcissistic people very much avoid introspection and self-reflection in order to avoid feelings of shame. This would explain a lot about how when anyone confronts them or points out some kind of issue or problem that they might have with their behavior, and in order to avoid feelings of shame because of this whole false self they have, with this false belief in some kind of a perfect self, all of that being related to shame, it's just very difficult for someone who's high on the narcissistic spectrum to self-reflect and introspect about their behavior and any impact that they might have on others, largely because they're always seeking to avoid these feelings of shame that they've never worked through. So because they have the inability and at least very largely avoid self-reflection, they don't learn or change based on any feedback that they get from other people, because they're very hypersensitive to criticism and are unwilling to give any serious consideration to any feedback they receive that might be negative or point out that they might have flaws or be less than perfect. So, like many of the various aspects of narcissistic personality disorder, this is something that makes relationships very difficult and problematic. So, if you have toxic, narcissistic, abusive family members, the fact that they don't self-reflect or accept negative feedback or change or grow based on their experience and what other people are telling them should unfortunately seem familiar to you, but just putting that out there to give you some insight into one of the many reasons that these kinds of relationships can be very difficult.